IMHO Talk Show.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
So Katrina, like I said, you're no stranger to us or to our show, and hopefully folks, remember who's been along for this ride. You know, we've almost 10 years, Katrina, with this show. We're going on 10 years this January.
Oh, I believe it. And it's a great service for our community. You know, you were the first, when I ran for school board in 2017, you were actually the first news organization that reached out to me for an interview. So y'all are doing the work. And I appreciate it.
Love it. And that's why I started the intro off that way, because like it's been a pleasure watching you grow as well, and and like all the steps like as you've achieved like within your career path of public service. It's been great. And so Max, like from the beginning, it's almost like we're locked in step, with Katrina Callsen. Right. As she goes, so does IMHO. Right. And so once again, just congratulations on this midterm. And so, like, how are you feeling? Because like sometimes folks get a little taste of public office and they get frustrated and they're like, like these folks are crazier than I thought, maybe. And but then there's some folks who, such as yourself, such as Senator Deeds, you get in there and you make change and you stay within the community, which is a beautiful thing. So, so how are you feeling just in general? Going into 26.
Well, if you're watching, you saw me pull away from the microphone, so I can laugh at that because I have definitely had my fair share of being like, what is going on up here? This is crazier than I thought. Yeah. So that being said, I don't know why, but I've been able to be successful at it. There were 34 freshmen elected House of Delegate members 2 years ago, and I passed more bills into law both my first year and my second year out of any of those, with the fourth highest pass rate out of 100. So there's my little patting myself on the back. That being said, it is absolutely crazy up there. And I'm just trying to fight, keep fighting the good fight and doing the work because I feel like it matters. And I feel like we need people that are reasonable, rational, and willing to work hard without.
So about getting that many bills through in your first term, was that an intentional decision, or did you just see that many problems and saw the need to put those bills forward?
Yeah, I think what helped me get that many bills passed, and I'm happy to, talk through some of them, but the pass is a pass. I'm trying to bring some new bills. We'll see. And I'm happy to talk about those too. I'm going to see. I did a lot of criminal justice bills. And I think what helped me there is that I'm a lawyer, that I used to work for the city. And so being able to read the laws, there's not that many lawyers elected right now. So being able to read through the laws and understand where there were pain points was really, I think, impactful and helped me talk about those and get them passed. I'll bring up one quick example. There was actually this kind of loophole that was happening in our system that when people were arrested for probation violations, or at least put into jail for probation violations, their cases didn't necessarily get kicked off right away because it's a different type of paperwork that happens there. It's called a PB15, which doesn't automatically get you in front of a judge. And we were actually finding there was someone who was in jail for 4 months. That's the most egregious case, but for 4 months on a probation violation that would get you 10 days waiting for his hearing on it. So that was something that I was able to go in. And even though this last term, there was a Republican governor, and he vetoed almost all criminal justice bills, that I was able to get support and get passed because nobody wants something like that happening. Yeah.
Awesome. And, there's some things that we've been talking about, Max, that's been top of mind for us, big as far as like for our state and how it affects us here. But before we go into more specifics with those, how are you just feeling in general about how the election turned this midterm, right? Because I see, folks that want to reach across the aisle, but it's almost like we got so politically polarized, like by current leadership, to where it was like I can't even like reason right now. So when you look at the shift that Virginia made, how do you feel about that? What's your hopes going forward with the new folks we're going to have in the state office?
I am feeling fantastic. That was one of the best election nights I've been through. And I'll tell you why. And I think there's a lot of Virginians who feel like this. The craziness that is happening in D.C., the chaos and how it affects us here in Virginia, it's getting old. And I think there's a real desire to be able to stand up and push back. And what we did in Virginia was actually historic. It was the largest jump in our majority And I don't know the exact stats, but so we're going to say over 40, we'll say 40 years. I've heard different people say different things. People are trying to like figure out the history, but it's like a decades long record that we just set. It has sent a message across the nation, actually, that Republicans need to get back to the basics with people, that what people are really focused on, which is food, housing, economics, jobs. It is not culture wars. It is not talking about bathrooms, which is all they talked about. It is not those things. And that means something to me. It was exciting. I will say, I'm not taking it as some kind of mandate that it's going to be nothing but Democratic priorities. I think it was more like people are tired of the political games, if that makes sense. That's what I took it as. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get to work. We have a huge majority. I think it's going to help us. You can cut me off anytime, Charles. I think it's going to help us have more robust conversations about issues. So flock cameras, for example, is one.
That's something we've been talking about. Flock cameras. So
the way that session's gone so far, we have a 1-seat majority until these new people get sworn in. And so in order to get anything passed, you have to be in lockstep with everyone next to you. And it can make it so that when there's more debatable issues, places where even Democrats might not fully align, those things just don't get discussed right now. They certainly don't get discussed openly because there's too much strife. So having more people will allow us to have some of those more in-depth conversations. I voted against flock cameras.
Okay.
I did. That was one. That's why one that comes to mind.
That's refreshing to a lot of our listeners to hear that. Yeah.
Yes, I did. But I will tell you what that looked like behind the scenes was a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Now, wait a minute. We have a Democrat that's bringing this bill. There needs to be a vote here. And it didn't appeal to me. So I'm looking forward to having some of those conversations more openly about why and what we support as legislation. Flock, I didn't agree with flock. I certainly...
Why? Like, why not?
Why didn't I agree with it? All kinds of reasons. You don't know... When you give power away to someone, it's really hard to take it back in. I want us to be supportive of our police officers, but they have lots of ways that they can do investigative work. And we have lots of protections to make sure that they have to seek out reasons why they might be investigating someone. So giving them a broad grant of power to kind of surveil is problematic for me, especially in today's climate when we don't know if it's going to be tied to ICE enforcement. We don't know if federal people are going to be able to tap into those videos. I say this as a woman who has dealt with family law. I think about domestic cases. One of my constituents said you can actually put in a request and find all the images of your car that have been collected. And I'm just thinking as someone who might have domestic violence or partner violence in their relationship, how you could, it just doesn't sit right with my soul, basically. Something about it. It doesn't.
Yeah. I think Riz had a comment about that.
I have a question. And this is one of the questions that's like, Black people have conversations that they have amongst themselves, and then they have conversations that they feel they can have in public that won't be attacked to a certain point. One of the conversations that I used to hear in the barbershop was that it's never a problem how, when Charles asked you about flock, it's never a problem how people are being mistreated until it's other people besides Black people. So then in its entirety, everybody seems to reach back to the Black community to ask for help because they want to say they're treating all of us the same until rules and regulations get changed for whatever group came to the Black organizations. And when you spoke about flock and you were talking about ICE and you were talking about these things, right? It just has a name to it now, but it always has been for people of color, whether you call them African Americans, Black, colored, whatever, throughout the course of history. It's just being spread out to other individuals now besides just what is known as African Americans. So my question would be, in your humble opinion, when it comes to the way that my community votes, should it be, and the reason I'm asking you is because we are from different nationalities. Should it be, we look at, okay, yes, it might not have changed for me, but somebody else is using it, so I'm going to jump on the bandwagon? Or should it be looked upon like, no, we have our own issues that we need to go through. So we're only a collective community when somebody else wants our help. So being a person who falls in line with things that have to be voted in, I wonder how you would look at the different constituents that put their votes out there.
That is a long question with a lot behind it.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm like trying to process it because I can talk pretty openly and it's kind of weird. I mean, if we're going to talk about race, I'm actually mixed. I'm black-white. So I do bring a perspective. I don't even know if you're supposed to say mixed anymore. I'm multiracial.
It's all good. It's all good.
I bring my own perspective and anger. I don't want to say it, but anger. I bring my own perspective and anger around certain things that have happened in our country. So for me, it's the war on drugs. The war on drugs is where I feel the most kind of anger. It's why what motivates me with criminal justice work. It's why I'm doing like counsel at first appearance, all these things around that, because I remember drugs, drug use, anything related to drugs. Terrible. Drop the hammer, lock them up, throw them away. Bad people. That's what I grew up with. And then I went to an Ivy League. I went to Yale. And imagine my surprise to realize that some of the most rampant drug use I've ever seen was with rich white kids.
Yep.
Who did it with no fear of repercussions and no judgment. It was like, it's all good. Mm-hmm. And so then to see the national conversation change around drug use when exactly what you said is happening, where it started affecting a different group of people. Now it's congressmen's children who are using drugs. It's, wait a minute, we might all be impacted. And the tone now changes to, it's time to rehabilitate.
Yeah, the opioid epidemic or against the war on drugs.
Yes, now it's all changed. And something about that bugs me. So that would be where it is for me. But I hear you on Flock that there's people, and I have to acknowledge, let me see if I'm getting this right, that like I mentioned ICE because ICE is what comes to mind right now. And I know, but you're right. You're like, wait a minute, there's been people who have felt surveilled or like a disproportionate police presence in their neighborhood, whatever it is, that now, wait a minute, we're supposed to get behind them and it's because of ICE that we're worried about it. And what does that really mean? Yeah. And I'm going to throw another one, weird race thing, which I look like I'm Latina.
I thought you would.
Yeah.
Man, you know Katrina long enough. What are you talking about?
I thought Katrina was
biracial.
Don't worry. I actually had someone present, when I first got on the school board, I had someone present an award as the first Latina school board member. And I had to tell him, like, I am not, but thank you. I actually was the first African-American woman on the school board.
Talk your talk.
But the worst was when I was actually at an event in Richmond, because I do like to support our Latino caucus because there's not a lot of members. And by the way, they are just getting that community is getting so attacked right now. So I do like to support them. And then this magazine lady came up and was like, we can put a feature on you in Latina magazine. I'm like, I am not Latina. I cannot. Yeah. But what does that mean? Because you're right, though, in that I can feel I am not of that race, but I can, or that culture, but I can actually feel some of the pain because, like, back, you all remember the news story where they were saying they were looking for people's ID on the train? Yeah. I'm thinking, do I need to walk around with my passport? I actually have my passport in my jacket. Yeah. I'm like, I don't. Yeah. And also I remember right after Trump won, actually the first time, I had a good family friend who posted on Facebook, back when Facebook was a thing. I still use Facebook, and said, oh, great. Now my commute is going to be so much better because we can get all of these Latinos off the road. And I'm thinking, are people looking at me in my car and thinking that I'm like clogging up their roads? Yeah. So it's weird in that I get a little of both, if that kind of makes sense, but I hear you. I take the what I would say is that the black people I know in my life, my father, my grandparents, we always have to take the high road. It sucks, but it's a place to take the high road because there's a community that very much needs our support, and their voice sometimes is even more, right now in our current system, it's even more squashed down than you would ever expect, and they need people to advocate for them. Yeah.
It's something I want to give you kudos on as well. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but I'm trying to think of the exact title, so correct me, but like your office managers or like campaign director, whatever, like have been Latino.
You
had Jason and the gentleman you have now. What is his name again?
Angel is going to be starting with me, and I have Matthew. So I have 3 people. Jason is actually mixed as well. So
yeah. So
I'm really proud of my office diversity. I like seek it out.
Yeah.
I think it's good perspective. I think it's all good. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Which we are talking to 54th District Delegate Katrina Callsen. You mentioned as well, kind of briefly, SNAP benefits and whatnot. What can you tell our listening audience right now as we come out of 25? We see we're going to have a Democratic governor and like majority leadership for Virginia. So what can you tell us where we're at now and maybe your hopes for 2026 as it relates to like family services, including SNAP benefits and what have you?
I can be really direct. The best thing that people need to do is they need to vote in 2026, and they need to make it so we have a different majority in the federal government.
Okay.
The state is not able to make up the deficit.
Okay.
We will probably prioritize SNAP over other issues that are going to be affected, like Medicaid. Virginia participates in Medicaid expansion, just because in the scheme of where you need to take care, you need to eat food. People need to eat food before they can do anything else. But the deficit, what I just said in an interview recently is it's not a situation of making lemonade out of lemons. We don't even have the lemons. There is not enough money that we have in the state budget to even fund what we need to cover the federal deficit. And so we will not be able to maintain services as they currently are for very much longer if the federal government doesn't step in. That being said, can I tell you a few things. One, pay attention. I just was driving my kid over to this debate yesterday for this weekend of my first ever debate competition. It was pretty interesting. And when I was driving there, I'm like, why is this line of cars here? What's going on? It was a line of cars for the food bank that's over on the Lambs Lane campus. So just, you don't realize what people are living through right now. But there's a line on a Saturday morning, early in the morning, there's a line of people waiting to get food from the food bank. And I'll tell you, as someone who grew up with my family on food stamps, what we used to call them food stamps, WIC, that's what my family relied on. I don't know. I will defend until my grave that providing services and food to those who need it is an investment that will always be worthwhile. It pays off in the long run. It helps people get the footing they need to move up and beyond. Which is another.
I got a question.
Okay. I mean, I'm ready to defend it.
Like versus the ways that the federal government wastes money other ways, I got to agree with you.
I got a little question. All right.
But before you go there, because you said 26 election, but potentially, I'm not saying y'all are going to do it, but potentially, does the state have like an emergency call or whatnot to decide, hey, well, like we can extend services a little bit, much as we can with some emergency funding?
So I don't have compelling enough. I don't have enough information. I don't want to get out wrong information. I'm actually going tomorrow to a finance retreat for 3 days where we're going to get the state projection on what the numbers look like. And they are trying to crunch the numbers to figure out what we can do. And I don't know right now.
Okay.
I'm just asking a question. All right. Food, water, shelter are the basic necessities, right? That everybody is entitled to, in my opinion, right? You shouldn't have to worry about where you sleep. You shouldn't have to worry about if you're going to eat, your children going to eat. But my question would be, when you see people that make choices and decisions to where they put their wants out there in front of their ability to buy food, where is and please nobody, as he's a Republican, we didn't see them say that about me before, but it's not that. It's just the fact of, it seems like people like to spend their money on what they want and beg for what they need. So if you're driving a nice vehicle and you have an iPhone and your children underage have iPhones, but you go to the food banks to get assistance, is there ever a point where it's okay to look at people and ask them, where are your priorities? Because an iPhone costs over $1,000 now. And if you got multiple iPhones, because there's other phones.
I know my phone's like on its last leg. It's always cranking. I'm like, I don't want to have to buy another one. These things are expensive.
But that's what I see though. Like,
but can the government control that though? Like I got to interject with that. It's like the government. To me, the bottom line. I'm curious her answer, but to me, it's like I'd rather help people that need help, even knowing that people are going to always abuse the system. Our president abuses the system. You can't stop people.
No. I'm just saying, regardless of who the person is, Republican, Democrat, white, black, young, old, whatever.
Yeah, but it's going to help somebody. Is my point.
But that's almost like, okay, you have people that decide to do crime that said, no, I'd rather spend my money on this than further my education. Right. And then we like to say, and I'm one of the people that had got in trouble before, but I'm old enough to now to start to look at everything was a choice, you know, regardless of what you're born into. You just said so yourself. Your family relied on SNAP benefits, WIC to get by. Right. But you made a choice. So when I see people, I even deal with the people that's in the corner that ask you for money. I look down at your feet. I look at your hands, you know, so and I shouldn't, but I choose my judgment as to what I do or don't do from that point. So is there ever going to come a time where we look at anything with accountability to say, okay, could you get by with less on your personal life so that you were able to use that money to feed yourself? Is that okay? I'm just asking.
Again, I think you got a few things in there. So one, yes, it's fine to ask people where their priorities lie. And hopefully, like society writ large is checking people who aren't doing well by their kids, by their wives, by whoever. However, it's a numbers game for me. Literally, the fraud, the waste, the people who are not doing what they need to be doing. And by the way, if they're not doing what they need to be doing and they're buying iPhones and whatever, and not taking their kids, like, then they're a bigger, you know, like, we're not going to fix that regardless. That's somebody whose mind's not in the right place.
Right.
What I do know is what I get out of the system is this living in a society where I want to live, which is I don't want to see starving kids or starving anyone on the side of the street, because I don't care where your mental state is or why you're making the decisions that you're making. I know that that's the small fraction.
Yeah.
And the more politics is all about messaging. And I feel like Republicans focus on that small portion and they're distracting us from a bigger conversation, which is that, yeah, people abuse benefits. They do. They make terrible choices. Not gonna say that. We, what is the word? Uplift corporations and billionaires who abuse a system to the tune of billions of dollars while focusing on the few people taking advantage of some SNAP benefits. Like if you want to live your life with using a WIC card to get all your food by choice, then okay, that's you.
On both of those choices though, Katrina, like if I decide to go and on Black Friday and spend all this money to help the corporations, that's my choice. If I decide that my car, my hair, my nails,
but I'm saying we
is
need
more important than my kids.
I'm saying, well,
that's your choice. Everybody else shouldn't have to pay for that.
We need to move the conversation. Just like I shouldn't have to pay for tax cuts for a guy who's got $1 million yacht. Just like I shouldn't have to pay government benefits for a woman working at McDonald's 60 hours a week who somehow can't make her rent, while the corporation is returning millions to their shareholder.
I agree with that too.
The numbers are always, like, not always, let me not speak in absolutes like my politician coming out, but the numbers support that. Absolutely, there can be people who are taking advantage of the system and it can be frustrating, but in the long run, that's not who I need to focus my anger and ire on. Because by the way, we're not going to change that. That's like something that's happening. And I can speak even further about how people in low situations often might, to an objective observer, seem like, why are you doing what you're doing? But we're all humans. And if your life's in a really crappy place, I'm trying to remember I'm on the radio here. If your life's in a really crappy place, you might not be making decisions that to someone else, it's like, well, why do you have an iPhone? Well, because I don't know. They have so little going on. I don't know. That's getting distracted. The point is, we are so easily distracted by focusing on the few, the people who are doing the few bad things over here, that we are forgetting like the just accepted commonplace thing that is happening, which is bad, which is that, like I said, we have corporations where people are working full time. They are waking up. They are not lazy. They are waking up. They are showing up to work, and they're doing the work that, by the way, none of us really want to do. And they can't get by.
No, I got you. So, but my last thing I want to say is, everything comes down to a choice, right? So if you are in the situation where, like you said, things are bad and the iPhone makes me feel better and these other things that I need help, right? Yeah. But you don't vote.
Then, okay.
If you don't vote to put people in play that don't allow certain things to happen on the big end, I don't think you should get services. You gave up your right.
I mean, that's one way to regulate it.
Yeah. If you don't vote, you shouldn't get.
I do think I understand your point, and I hear your point, Ray. So I'm sliding on your and Charles's interview, Katrina. I hear your point, Razor, but I think the slippery slope that we're on when you start talking about that type of oversight is that the federal government's idea of intervening in a situation like that is to strip it all, is to take it all. They're, not incremental. Let's see what piece it like. Take it all, and that just puts us all in a worse place, and especially those who actually need the assistance than where we currently are. I have a question. If we could circle back to your most recent, your campaign, Katrina, and your reelection. I'm interested in, as you were on the campaign trail and out talking to different constituents, what feedback you were getting from them in terms of what their current issues are, what they see as the current issue, and maybe how that feedback has influenced your priorities moving forward.
Yeah. So the way I do my legislation is I have a tracker of anyone who's brought me ideas. I try to prioritize local driven ideas and things that I've heard from folks. Right now it's got I think I was just pulling it up before this. It's got probably 56 things on it. I'm probably only going to be bringing 20 pieces of legislation. I will tell you, economics is the number one issue. Just by polling and by talking, economics is the number one issue. Healthcare is number two. People are worried about their healthcare premiums going up. Some of y'all might be seeing it. Actually, recently, I just heard this morning from a candidate herself who went to go update her insurance and found out it's now going to go from $99 to $211 a month. I mean, that matters when you're budgeting. Wow. And she's like a single, healthy, woman. Anywho. So healthcare. Yeah. Specific bills locally, affordable housing. So I try to just bucket my bills around things that I've talked about. So I have a bill that's going to be talking about regulating rentals, because a lot of people rent locally, and we don't have a lot of protections for renters if you are in a bad situation or if you are living in a rental where your landlord is not taking care of it, it is not livable. It actually is really hard to fight that. So I've got a bill around that. Got a bill around guns on college campuses, which is a lot of importance locally. It's actually a bill that's driven by UVA after the shooting that happened, which we just passed the memorial date for. It's brought by university police chiefs, actually, about ways that they can adequately investigate when someone is bringing guns on campuses. Right now, it's against the rules, but it's not illegal to bring a gun on college campus. And it makes it really hard for police to intervene, even when they know someone's breaking the rule, because it's not a law, it's not a crime, it's just a rule. I have a bill to speak to on the economic piece. That's where I'm trying to really understand where can I make some difference. I am exploring a bill that's around the cottage food industry, and it's just kind of a neat time for me because Beacon Kitchen I have not worked with, but I've visited. I believe in their mission. I just really believe in their mission and supporting small entrepreneurship, small businesses, especially businesses by people of color. It's just important to me. So I got proposed this bill around how there's something in Virginia where, it's harder to sell food items online in Virginia. There's a lot more regulation you have to go through. That isn't, by the way, necessary. There's other states that don't have those same restrictions. They don't have any worse health outcomes. None of that is occurring. So I feel like in Virginia, I would like to make it easier for those small businesses to thrive. So I'm trying to do that cottage food bill. The list goes on. I got a lot of ideas.
That's good stuff.
I also, just so people know how some of it works, I go to, and Max, this, I go to the city of Charlottesville, I go to Albemarle County, I go to the 2 school boards, and I ask them what their priorities are. And I try to carry at least one priority from those 4 things.
Okay.
Got you. I heard you mention the university. Give us an update on the Board of Visitors and sort of your feelings about that right now. Because again, if it's governor appointed, are we feeling hopeful that we can kind of right this ship in regards to the way that UVA has been politicized and been treated, and the way the federal government has been intervening with funding and things like that? Is there any updates in that regard?
I should have mentioned that one because that is absolutely top of mind for so many folks right now because it's so directly impacting us here in Charlottesville. Yes, I'm working on a big bill to restructure how we do the Board of Visitors to make it so that what's happening right now, these political, games, mess, whatever can stop. It's going to have a lot of components. It's going to make it so that one sitting governor can't appoint the entire board of visitors. I told you before we started that this is where I'm going to struggle because there's so much work that I put into it. So let me just, I guess, streamline it down to what is happening right now is gross. Yeah. In the past, governors would appoint people to oversee our universities based on their experience, on their connection, on the belief in what they wanted to do. The current governor, as popular as he actually is with Virginians, he has made it so that all of our board of visitors are almost all Republican. There's no partisan, being bipartisan. Right now in the University of Virginia, it's a 17-member board. 5 people have not been confirmed, but all 17, the 5 proposed and the 12 who are on there, they're all Republicans. They've donated over $5 million to Republican.
Who's paying him? Sorry.
Yes.
No, that's right.
Yes, and in a state that is purple, in a county and a city that are deep blue, it is not right to have a board of visitors that is 100% political Republican appointees. Yeah. And by the way, what that means is we have a president that was ousted. We have a deal with the Trump's DOJ that none of us were told about. We have a search for a new president that we don't have any transparency on. We have lawsuits that are being levied at us. We've proactively agreed to Trump's interpretation of the Civil Rights Act. We haven't fought back on any of those things. We haven't joined lawsuits when we've lost funding. Other states California was able to get funding back for their schools because they fought it. We didn't join in any of that. Instead, we've appeased. We said, well, we'll just go with whatever you want. That means that we're cutting out all kinds of programming that was benefiting our student. We're just proactively giving it up based on what Trump wants, and it infuriates me. So yes, I am going to be doing work there. We are going to be changing that. The lawyer side of me says Youngkin set a precedent when he let go of one of his own board members that I can't speak for Governor-elect Spanberger, but there is a possibility you could go in and you can make these boards a lot more even keeled, and you can prevent this from happening.
Yeah, that's big. A lot of people wonder, why would we talk about UVA? But as even Razor has said, as UVA goes, so does the country, because Charlottesville and UVA is the foundation of the development of this country, in so many ways. So that's why it's so important.
We're a great university. Yeah, all of this, it's like a gaslighting. It's like a lesson in gaslighting working with Washington, D.C. right now. We are a world-renowned public university. Yeah. There was nothing that needed to be done to fix us. We got a guy who started Trump University, which was like a scam to get money out of people that then failed, telling us, Virginia, we stand on our, we stand on our business. Our schools are great. That he needs to come in and independently, look at all our schools. Professors need to get their courses evaluated by DC. None of that makes sense. Yeah. By the way, also, it's Virginia taxpayer money that pays for our schools.
Yeah,
it's not DC.
Right.
And the fact that if you look at any of these statements, I'm sorry, I told you, because if you look at any of these statements from all these people that are saying, oh, no, it's all, we did what we needed to do to protect the university. Who are we protecting them from? From the president? That's wild. That's not how it's supposed to work. That is supposed to make me feel good. Don't worry. I signed the agreement so that we don't get punished. And you should be happy. I did what's great. I prevented us from getting punished. Well, we're not supposed to get punished by the federal government. We're not supposed to get threatened by the federal government to do what they want. Right. And it's not a win to say, don't worry, I did what they wanted, so now they'll stop.
Yeah. Spot on. So Katrina, Max, I'll let you. I have the final word, and but thanks for joining us, Delegate Callsen, for yet another term. It's definitely always a pleasure. And definitely want to let folks know too, if there's anything you need us to go to petition for, or
parting comments. That's my final word.
Yeah. Let me end with, I'm actually here to serve you guys. I do offer, people don't realize the level of service that I can do. I can help with DMV. I can help with state agencies. I can help with UVA. I can help with all kinds of those connections. So please reach out to my office. I also craft legislation based on what people bring me. So I have office hours. It's hard, let me know about events. I love showing up to events, all of that stuff. Just please be engaged if you want to. I share an office with Cree Deeds. I'm on the downtown mall, and I would love to talk.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing your time with us this Sunday. Congratulations on your reelection, and we look forward to having you back.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Yep.